Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie, and welcome to another Friday night bee chat. Well, we got over 18 people on here already. We've got Randy and Mike and DC and Clay and Jack and Danette. And who else we have here that I missed maybe? We got Bill is in the back room. And we got Randy Klingen. Hey, there's Todd. All right, well, let's drop the old link here. Let's see. Like this, the pinning does not want to pin. Hey there, James. Well, something's wrong here on my one side. Let me go and have to kind of go in and out on this. Be with me here in a minute, guys. Gotta try to get ahead of the putting up the 2 YouTube windows. Your videos. And there we go. There's Mr. Bill. All right.
Yeah, I'm putting some books together tonight for a class for tomorrow.
What are we having tomorrow for class?
Treatments.
Oh, treatments class.
Yep.
Well, I'll wait until I found out a new treatment, so it's coming out. I figured I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yep, I found that one too. Probably the same one.
Yeah, we're man late. Well, anybody, or Anyway, well, we've had a really hot several days here up in Maryland as far as hot and humid. Hey, DC. Hey, Keith. And I'm going to mute you there, Bill. You're getting a little loud.
Yeah.
And hey, Jonathan. And so I haven't really been in the hives because it's been super hot. And I've worked the weekend in the hay fields, hay chem, and been baling hay Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then it's been hot and humid the rest of the time. And today or this evening, and most of the day, it's been kind of a misty rain. Hey, James. I'm glad to hear that your flow is just starting up there. And I think you said that you were getting some rain, which that hopefully is going to help you out, or did get some rain. Hey, Brian. And there's James. Yeah, $289 doesn't surprise me for truck brakes. Hey, Jonathan. And hey, Roy. But so anyway, haven't harvested any honey yet. You figure all this hot and humidity translate into wet honey, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it has.
And James there, he's been grafting and averaging for about 90% takes, and that's good. Hey, Thomas. And so anyway, I like to say, and there comes the newest and greatest queen rearing success, Darren, the Pennsylvania beekeeper. He got 19 out of 30 cells capped and success. So it sounds like that there trip to Virginia turned out to be a positive influence on you. And all that sounds
Darren,
great.
you can come down here and grab queens for me if you want to.
And all that. No, I'm just happy to see Darren. He had some issues down there learning how to graft like everybody does. And sounds like to me he's got the hang of it. He just got to just practice is what it amounts to. And you'll just keep learning. And some things that I learned this, of course, for me, when I went down there, I learned how to make up a good, strong cell builder and understanding, how to keep it maintained, to keep, giving out great amounts of queens. And then some of the things that I learned here recently, I watched myself on my own videos where I was pulling out the easy peasy cages out of those test tube trays, and they were catching. And those trays were smacking that little, not much, just smacking that tabletop that I had on the video. And that dislodged quite a few of my cells, which they didn't hatch. And I learned right quick that you've got to be, take them cells, I don't care what stage they are, handle them like, I don't know, like like something that's just barely going to break on you.
Yeah, I think I had the same thing happen to me, Charlie. I went in the cells that we grafted down here in that rewind class.
Mhm.
They hatched out 3 days early, and I was trying to get them out. I think I flipped a bar over or something and dislodged them.
Yeah. But like I say, every stage of the way, do not shake, drop, or any other thing when it comes to them cells. And something that I noticed was this last graft that I had, I haven't been able to graft for the last 2 weeks. It's either raining on a Monday or my job got in the way. It was just, after dark before I got done work. And one of the things is that I went out there with this excessive heat on a Friday. And normally the cells are capped on a Saturday. They're capped by Saturday, and all of them were capped on a Friday. And I actually pulled them on it was a 5-day. They actually were capped in 5 days instead of 6 days. So temperature does play a big part in all that kind of stuff. And that's when I had pulled them out, put them in my incubator, and then put them back in with the easy peasy cages in that banking frame. And they all hatched out nicely. So they're in the candy cages right now. I got to get out there this week sometime.
Oh, sounds like you've been successful, Charlie.
Yeah, I had 15 of them hatch, and I got a couple more. I got calls for queens today for 2 more queens, and I got to either do it tomorrow if the weather is decent. And Randy says, hand them like nitro. There you go, Randy. You're exactly right. So they don't blow up in your face, and that's exactly right. Hey, Matt. Hey, Pete. But anyway, that's what I've seen so far. And like I say, I got a couple queens I got to get out maybe tomorrow afternoon, get rid of them, sell them. And I need to get out there myself. I need to look at some of these, like these mating boxes. I know there's some mated queens in there, and hopefully they're not getting ready to swarm because they ran out of room and that kind of stuff. And I've got, like to do some video work here. Hey, and all that. All right, James up there in Alberta, he had 19 out of 20, 22 out of 20, and 24 out of
That's pretty good.
24 out of, I guess 24. It says 4, but that doesn't make sense. 24 out of 24. Yeah, he just put it in there. He's having 100% success rate. And I'm glad to hear that because he needs every queen he can get a hold of so he can make all the splits to rebuild of his catastrophe from last year and all that. And so, I mean, I've been having a lot of fun raising queens. I have to say that. I've been doing a lot of learning, some of it on my own, as far as I can say about handling these cells like nitro and all that stuff. And like Randy says, and I really enjoy my easy peasy queen rearing cages. They're way easier and to use, and of course they all fit the JZBZ queen cups and cell or what do you call them, cell bars. And Brian out there at Flower Street, he's been spinning 30 frames a night this week, then putting the frames right back on. Then I'll let them sit next week to wrap up the flow. Hey, Hale. Hey, Paul. And all. So it's been a really learning experience. I mean, I've learned how to bank queens, put them in the highs. Ryan, my guest last week, he just put out a video on how to introduce virgin queens, which is I actually watched to see what he had to say about that. And last week I thought was one of the best special guest shows and I've ever had on my channel. I don't get that many of them, but Ryan was a really informative talk, I thought, and all. And I had some different people text me and tell me that, and I was glad to hear that people got a lot out of his talk. And then we also had Dan Long from Easy Peasy. I know through talking to different people, there's been a lot of interest in buying his products, which I'm glad it, for him as a beekeeper and a inventor that he, he did well financially, I think. Ryan does go to Nobby. Actually, I met him in the parking lot briefly. He was didn't have time to talk to me, but that's how I kind of started my dialogue with him through the emails and stuff. and all that. DC wants to, can I checkerboard in wax foundation with wet to dry to try to get more drawn for next season? Depends on your flow, DC. If the flow ain't a flowing, they're not going to be a drawing too much. Unless you're feeding them thin syrup to kind of mock what's flowing in. And Pete, he agrees with me. And all was best for, let's see, agrees last week's live stream was the best for queens. Yep. I know I've been on the queen kick here lately, but, it's that time of year for me as far as grafting. And I won't say it's been new to me, but the learning experience has been really wonderful for me. And also being able to finally comprehend and understand how to set up that cell builder, which that's step number one. If you don't have that step accomplished, everything goes downhill after that, and you get discouraged. Todd says it's going to be 103 out there in California and Sunday, so I'm pretty much not doing anything this weekend. Well, and that's not the feel like temperature. I'm sure that's the real deal temperature out there. And Mike, this is, let's see what Mike says here. Did it. He did a split 10 days ago within 10 queen. He did a split 10 days ago within 10. See, 10 queen cells look at, I'm not sure exactly how he's stating that. Cell looked at the cell, got 6 virgin, not bird, 6 virgins, put them in 4-frame box next morning, 1 swarm and 1 swarm in trap box, or swarm in a swarm trap box. All right, I got it. I'm sure you must be using voice recognition there, and they're not doing too great. Hey, Brad, good to see you. Yep, you're right on there. Crappy cell builder means crappy queens. That's for sure. And all that. So, and then Todd was talking about extended forecast. The last week of July should be between 112 and 116 degrees. And all that. He's going to put pots and pans underneath the hive to catch the honey and the wax dripping. I guess it would maybe at that point. Hey, Kathy May. Interesting post there that you had on your Facebook here, Kathy. The little girl club that you belong to. Never thought about you, Vienna. So, yeah, Thomas says, Todd, you need to get yourself a sprinkler.
Hey, Charlie, don't underestimate them women from the Shenandoah Valley now.
Yeah,
they will surprise you.
They come packing.
Yes, they do. You better be careful when you come to Shenandoah Valley. You might get shot.
I hope not. Hey, Brad. And all that. Yeah, Keith, it's a dry heat out there in California. And all that. Yeah, hot to me, hot's hot. I don't care how dry it is. Oh my.
Have you used that new equipment yet?
Yeah, I baled 1,030 bales with the bale baron Tuesday. Well, my son, he, he was looking at me for because I usually bale the hay, and I said, nope, it's your day. You get in that thing with the with that technician and learn how to do it and all.
Yeah, then he can teach you.
Hey, Philip.
Hey, weird. I thought I had you coming through the car audio, but went back to the phone. I don't know if you can hear
Where are you headed to?
me. To my mama's house.
Oh, you're driving
Go there.
along the drive.
I go there every 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's about a 6.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm taking your place tonight, Phil. I'm
What's
doing
that?
something. I'm doing something while I'm online.
Oh, okay. Well, the only way I can participate is to come on because I can't read the comments while I'm driving. Yeah.
So,
Hey, Charlie, did you see Ryan's video today?
did Ryan do what? Oh,
His video today. He did a really good video about his honey house and how it extracts.
no, I didn't see that. I watched Ryan. He was a video about how to take Virgin Queens and install them and everything. What he was doing, different things and stuff like that. Now I've been busy. I've been I round baled Sunday, 22 round bales, and then Monday we did 75, and I was 9, I don't know, I was 8 o'clock or better after getting home. And then Tuesday we started this new inline baler and bale baron. It's more of a package machine for small square bales. And they started at 9 o'clock that morning, setting the tractor up, and then the machine showed up 10 o'clock that morning, and we finally got out in the field about 2:30, and we were late getting them put away, but it was 9:30. I guess I was going in the house by 9:30 at night, but 9 o'clock we had 1,030 square bales in the barn, and I didn't have to touch any of it.
So tell me more about how that works. What's special about that?
Well, we got a new Massey inline baler where instead of a baler that is an offset baler like normal balers are, this one here is inline where you straddle the row. It goes right into the machine. It puts it in a bale, ties it up with a regular small square bale, comes out of the machine, and there's another machine that's attached like a wagon behind that. And this machine is, I call it a packaging machine. It takes the bales, it puts it puts three bales in a stack and then pushes them back into a chamber. So basically what it does, you got 21 square bales, 3 high, and it wraps 4 big heavy duty strings around it. And I'll say it compresses it like a cube, puts a string around it, ties it, and then of course the hay expands and it's really tight. And then as the next cube starts to form with other bales, it pushes that cube out of the back of the machine and it slides down a set of rollers onto the ground. And then you go around with a tractor with a grabber. It's like a frame that has these like hooks, and these hydraulically the hooks come around and grab the cube of hay, and you can lift it up, put it on a flatbed trailer, transport it to the barn, have another tractor with a set of hooks there, take it off, put it inside the barn. You don't have to have any late, and there's no labor. involved.
How many bales are in each package?
21.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's 21 small square bales, but instead, 1,000 square bales would be like 10, somewhere around 10 hay wagon kicker wagons. You have about 120 kicker wagons, and you'll get somewhere around 8 to 10 wagons. Then you got to unload all that stuff, and it takes hours upon hours instead of just you can do it within an hour with a piece of machinery. Never have to do any real hard labor. Costs a lot of money, but I'm happy with it. So,
Does your round baler like put a mesh or anything around it?
yeah, I have round baler. It has we put net wrap around it. Yeah, I don't put clear plastic. That's more for haylage for cattle. We sell to horse people.
I was gonna say, things like if it had any moisture at all in it, you wouldn't want it wrapped in plastic.
No, you don't. That's for haylage. That's for high moisture content.
Yeah.
The net wrap, I want the hay to be 12% moisture or less. Same way with this here bale bearing. The problem we had there that day was we had high humidity. If you went and felt the hay itself, it was dry, but the moisture meter's picking the humidity up and saying it's 15%, or something like that. So,
Tell you what, hay is amazingly absorbent. We were camping Boy Scouts one year. It rained and rained and rained and rained. And Scoutmaster sent me into town to find a farmer to buy some hay from. So I filled up the back of my truck with hay bales, those square bales. Brought them back to the camp, and we just spread it around on the ground.
yeah.
It was like we went from being ankle deep in mud to being just as dry as we could be, just because that hay was soaked up all that water. It made a huge difference in our week there.
Hay bales or straw bales. Most people use straw for something like that and all. But
I think
well, anyway, the biggest thing was that I guess there, Paul. I don't know about SLU or anything like Lewis or Omaha. And all that's Charlie. Would you say you double the price per ton of hay by square baling as compared to round bales? I would say, Dean, that where we're selling it to horse people, they are looking for second cutting, which is a real fine, soft grass, especially for them old nags that they got to feed. And because they don't like stimmy first cutting. Anyway, what I was getting at, Dean, I think my son is taking the farm part over, but I think if you put second cutting in a round bale, you won't get as much money for it. Whereas if you put it in a square bale, you could possibly charge an extra $2 or $3 per bale, because the horse people will get there and they'll look at it and they'll finger it and they'll smell it. And about that time, I'm like, why don't you just take a big bite of it and see if you like it or not? But it kind of gets aggravating after a while. But yeah, you can make more money in square bales.
So
but this machine here makes baling square bales a lot more enjoyable, I'll say.
Yeah, your customer base is way bigger with a square bale. It's not very many people can haul those round bales.
Yeah, well,
That depends on where you're at.
yeah. In my area, this is horse country. But if you get 20 or 30 miles out, You can go to Pennsylvania, which is only 20 minutes north of me. Because I think because of all the extra farms up there and more availability, then they don't get the price that what we can get and all that stuff. So, but anyway,
around Halloween and Thanksgiving, all these little suburbanites want a couple of 3 or 4 hay bales in their front yard with their pumpkins.
yeah, well, that's straw bales. That's for grain, and we have that too. Now we had 1,800 of them last year, and we were like, where are we going to get rid of all of them at? Well, they're all gone. They're all gone, and I had people calling me the last 2 days looking for straw.
I know when we went into town that day and bought that those hay bales, he was getting ready to load us up. He told us it was $6 a bale. And when we were getting ready to load them up, he said, "Are y'all going to feed this to horses?" And we said, "No, we're going to throw it on the ground and soak up water." He said, "We'll come back around the other side of the barn." And he gave us like straw bales for like $5 a bale instead of $6.
Yeah, straw is cheaper. Yeah, queen bee. They don't grow canola around here, or they do some sunflowers, but more for it's not a crop. It is a crop, but it's more for a fundraiser type of thing in our area. Some guys had done it for a while. They kind of got out of it. The situation is this: if you have sunflowers that you harvest, you got to be able to take them someplace to sell. And the amount of granaries around here are minimal when it comes to sunflowers. There might be one place along. Hey there, Randy. What's happening? Good to see you. And all. So there's the old dirt rooster. And so it's like if somebody wanted to raise cotton here, I think he would have to go to the Carolinas in order to sell the cotton because there's no cotton gins in this area whatsoever. So anyway, like I say, yes, we got this new machine. It's expensive, but it's for me. I've had some issues with my shoulders, which is actually not my shoulders. The problem is extending from my back, my vertebrae, and by doing a lot of that repetitive lifting. So hopefully all that will heal and all that stuff. Alpha King. Yeah, DC. Most people are trying to do alfalfa. They around here, the science people told the dairymen and stuff that they found that if you let the bloom like a third of the field bloom and then you cut it, because that's where all the protein is and it goes to the bloom, and they don't want it to do it that way. They want to keep it in the leaf. I've raised alfalfa. It's a pain. It's so brittle, I'll say, where you knock the leaves off and all you got is sticks, and it's a real pain. So anyway, so Bill, did you get your hay all put up?
Nope. If it doesn't rain tonight or tomorrow morning, they're supposed to cut hay this weekend. I've been told. I've been told.
Yes, up here it's supposed to rain for the next 3 or 4. It's raining now and rain for the next 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, it looks like it's getting rain here too.
So they haven't
looked that way all day.
They haven't cut anything, right?
Nope.
Well, at least you didn't get it wet.
No. The undergrowth is still wet though.
I was watching the American Hayman, and he actually had standing water in his hay fields. And wow. I was like, man, and he's cutting it. And I'm like, why? I wouldn't even think about doing that.
Nope.
And all that stuff.
So I was in bees the other day here, and we caged those queens. And as we were caging them, some of them were starting to hatch out. 8 of them hatched out in the cell builder 3 days early
Because it's hot.
because of the heat and humidity.
Yep.
So we caught all them and caged them. So I got them banked, and I got the other ones banked in the easy peasy cages. So I got to set up cell builders this weekend. So I can get them mated.
Yeah, I got, like I say, I got a couple queens I need that people want to buy, and then I got to check some more of the hives that I had put virgins in. I sold a nuke to a guy that I had 2 more nukes that were in deep frame configuration, and one of them I sold to him, and I said the other one I had put a queen excluder in there where I was basically cycling that box out. But then since he wanted it, I said, okay, we pulled the queen excluder, and actually I found the queen. I put her in there and sequestered her up into that area. I said, give her a week so she can lay everything up and in there. And then, she, you know, he'll have a nice hive and all that stuff. So I got another nuke to go out the door. And the one I did sell with her, I put a virgin in there. Oh, it's been a week ago, I guess. And then I got to make a video on about, it's been several months ago that 21st Bees, which is Michael, he had sent me those big heavy duty frames in medium, and I had put them in, and also a set of the acorn and another hive. Problem with his hive that I put his frames in, it went queenless on me. And they didn't, you know, when they do that, they don't draw the comb out very well and all this other stuff. And so I threw a virgin in there. Remember I told you guys where I had all these queen cells in there, and I was tired that evening, and I just threw that darn virgin in there and said, the heck with it. I'm going to the house. I came back 2 days later. They had killed all those queen cells because she was in there. And I hadn't checked it since then. I was like, you know, I just didn't have time. And I went in there, I don't know, last weekend, or no, it wasn't last weekend. Whenever day I had a little bit of time, and went in there, and she has been mated, and I got frames of his foundation frames in there, and they're just solid slabs of brood from corner to corner in there and all. And there's some wonky comb in there that I need to dress up because of, you know, it went queenless on me.
That's a good queen, man.
Oh, that queen, she is trucking. I mean, I'm talking frame after frame on both sides, corner to corner, the full length of the frame of just solid cap brood and all. So I got a couple other hives out there. I got one hive's got a 24 queen in there, and I got to get her out of there and let her go queenless for about a week, and then get in there and kill all them darn queen cells. And I got a mated queen in the back there. I want to drop in there and, you know, put her in a cage and drop her in, and get everybody up to 20-25 queens and all that. It's definitely you know, having young girls coming into the springtime for next year is the key to good solid beekeeping. Hey, Highland Honey.
So, can you hear me okay when I put my phone down, Charlie?
I can't hear you, Bill.
Okay, hold on. All right. So, I got a confession to make. I did something really stupid this morning. So I came home from work yesterday. I was needing to go out to my bee yard out at Crossroads. We were going to do an OA treatment, and I was going to put OA extended release pads on there right before dark, and then I have a swarm out there I want to transfer back to my house. So when I get home, my neighbor comes out, and she's like, she doesn't speak any English. She's from China. And she's got her hands in a like little together like this, and she goes, bees, bees. So that means some of my bees have swarmed into her tree in her backyard. So I go back there, and it's a tiny little swarm. I mean, it's about 2 fists full of bees is all it is. So I'm thinking, I don't want to deal with this, but I need to just get them out of her tree. So I thought about just shaking them into a box and taking them with me out to the other bee yard, but then I got busy loading the car and I forgot about them. So this morning I went over there, and of course they're still there. I get my squirt bottle out with my sugar water and throw a little cover over my face and climb up the ladder, and I start squirting them, and I'm like, why is this sugar water coming out in like a little stream instead of a spray? And I squirted like one side of the cluster, and I said, wait a minute, something's not right here. So I squirted a little on my hand, smelled it, and then licked it. It was like I was squirting the cluster with cooking oil instead of sugar water. So I get down and go get my sugar water, and she's probably watching me out of her window. And I get the sugar water and I spray them down real good with the sugar water, shake them in a box. Of course, half of them are dead, And so I got my plan at this point now is to take them over to my mother-in-law's house, which is like a quarter mile away. And I was going to throw them in a nuke that she has over there that's queenless. So I'm like, I probably killed the queen too. We'll see. But when I got over there and opened the box up, the queen was crawling up the side of the box, and she was wet looking, but I don't know if it was sugar water or oil on her. So I put her in a clip real quick, squirted that clip down real good with sugar water, and set her on top of the nuke. The bees kind of ignored her. They didn't attack her. They didn't greet her. Nothing.
That's because it smelled like cooking oil.
Right. She was alive. She was fine. The bees that got hit with the cooking oil were dead. I mean, it killed them pretty fast. So she was crawling around, trying to get out of that cage. So I said, so I shook the bees on a board in front of the hive, and some of them did crawl in, the ones that weren't dead, covered with cooking oil. And some of them just crawled to the edge of the board and they were fanning all different directions. They were super confused. So I was like, I don't have time to fool with this anymore. So I just opened up the cage and set her on top of the frames and let her walk down in there and wished her the best. I said, they need a queen and you need some help. So maybe it'll work out. Let's see.
Hey, a new way to catch swarms, Phil. You discovered a new way to do it.
Jason wants to know, Phil, that doesn't the oil smother them? I don't know whether that would happen or not.
Oh yeah, the ones that hit, it killed them. I mean, it just
it did. Then
time I got back, there were clumps of dead bees. Yeah, that fell into my box. Yeah, it does. It does the same. It's probably like dish soap, I bet. No, it was just too early and not paying attention to what I was doing. I grabbed the wrong bottle out of my refrigerator.
Wow.
Hey, Nancy.
Killing bees.
He did.
And all that. So, well, we got about 76 people in here right now. And Bill, he can help me out if he needs to.
All right.
Everyone, listen up. we got a new mite treatment coming down the pike. I don't know, maybe some of you have already heard about it. I haven't. I had a beekeeper stop by today and he told me about it. And I looked it up. It's going to be sold by Man Lake. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the share the advertisement. It's at DC. It's the RNA stuff. It's called Nora, and I had heard a lot about this, or they were experimenting with this, trying to get a mite basically sterilized, and I think they must have been able to do it. It's not been approved by EPA yet, I think, and then the states have to approve it, but it's getting very close to it. Here comes Nancy.
Somebody had the guy that's developing that on a live chat about 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah, that whatever that live chat was, or wherever it was, a friend of mine, Bernie, he showed me the live chat thing, and I seen the name of it, and all that. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, image file. I think no, present screen. I don't see that there.
I think it might have been on Ricky's live chat, but I think Tom was hosting it, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Tom, yeah, I think I remember that now. And
hi, Mike. I forgot people can hear me.
Your blonde roots are showing, Nancy.
Hi, Bill.
How are you?
Good. Got my stuff today.
Yes, I got your text. Yep.
Thank you.
That's a good thing.
All right, there.
Everything was still in one piece?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All good, just like you put it in there.
All right.
Does everybody see that on the chat?
No.
Huh?
No.
All right, StreamYard. Okay. Oh, here we go. I got to do this. There we are.
There you go.
There you go.
What's this?
Yep, it's a new treatment.
It's a new treatment coming out. I'm going to bring it up to full life. There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Man Lake's putting it out. It is
It's not been approved by any state yet.
No.
That bag is interesting.
All right. It's been in 10 years in testing and all. Currently under regulatory review by the EPA. Shown long-lasting viral control without harming the bees. Multiple years of field trials. Demonstrates up to 18 weeks of mite control. One treatment. The pouches placed on top of the frames or the bottom board, leaving a 1/2-inch space. Designed to specifically target varroa mites and works by stopping the production of mite offspring. NORA, NORROA, targets a specific protein in the varroa mites that ultimately stops their reproduction. No negative impacts on the colony health or the brood production were observed in the field trials. Studies have shown no negative impact to larvae, adult bees, or queens, supporting a healthy and productive hive. NORA, it works to maintain mite levels at the time of application. For best results, apply NORA any time that the mite levels are low and honey supers are not on the hive. And
So not on the hive.
yeah, not
Does
on
it
the
say
hive.
about the cappings? Is it effective under the, like, what are we comparing this to? Or,
I
what we
don't know.
know.
Do the bees eat this product, or they just touch it?
From what I gather,
The frames bottom board can be
Yeah, just-
or the bottom board. Just put on the top of the frames or the bottom board, and it can be used at any work temperature as long as it's safe to open the hive. Whoa.
Yep.
18 weeks.
Yep.
Long lasting up to 18 weeks, resistant management, new mode of action, effective, no offspring, groundress mites exposed to active ingredient or. So is this kind of makes me wonder a little bit. So Man Lake was just sold, and now they come out with this product. The new people are coming out with this product.
I think it was in the works anyway, Nancy.
Yeah.
Because the EPA is still testing it, and Man Lake actually introduced the company that makes it to the EPA, and I think they're kind of sponsoring them.
Huh. So the sale and the new ownership really is not. This was already working. This was already in the
Yeah.
works before all
Well,
that.
the new owners only bought 70%.
Oh. Uh-huh.
So what it amounts to is Man Lake is paying the EPA
Yeah.
in order to get this stuff approved.
Yep.
That's what it really boils down to, is how much money can we suck out of you?
And it's the only place you can get it when it comes on the market is going to be Man Lake.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie, Bill's mic is turned way up. I don't know if you can adjust it, or Bill can turn it down, but it's overpowering.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Is that better?
That's a little better. Okay.
So what was the price again, and how many
A 12 pack is let's see. A 24 pack
12
is
pack.
a 24
Can you
pack
make that
is
bigger?
$216.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive.
So how is it? How is the medicine delivered?
Nobody knows yet.
See that goo
You
there?
walk on it.
See there? See the goo?
So it's by contact, not by ingestion.
I don't know.
It looks like it could be both.
It looks like to me there's these prick holes in there, and the goo is coming out of the bag.
Okay, that sounds like there's something they would eat. I think that's what that guy talked
And look
about.
at them on the bag, or I bet they're sucking it down. It looks like sugar water type of stuff.
Yeah, I bet that makes sense.
So wait a minute.
That way.
So wait a minute. So if they're eating it, then they're fighting the mite from being internal. It's from the inside out. The bee is consuming it, and then the bee is not able. Kind of like giving our dog a flea treatment, where the flea bites the dog, the flea dies. Is
no?
Is that kind of
No,
I think it's that kind of
concept?
The way I understand it, Nancy, the founder's mite has to feed on a bee for like 4 or 5 days before she goes into the cell. So, from what I understand, it makes her sterile. When she feeds on it, it makes her sterile. So she lives, but she doesn't produce any more offspring. So
no offspring, right?
Within about basically 2 cycles, she's dead and hadn't reproduced. That's the way I understand it.
So there's nothing about cappings, nothing about like we're used to the gassing and things like that. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. She doesn't even know anything's going on until she gets under the cappings and realizes she's not having any offspring. So
right. Huh.
Brad's
Wow.
got Brad's. He must know about it because he said, yeah, it the bees eat it, and then the mites bite the bees and get infected with the
Yeah.
product.
Reproductive
Interruption.
interrupter. Yeah.
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 And then there's another one coming out too that EPA is getting ready to approve, but none of the states have fully approved it yet. And it's only been approved by like 4 or 5 states. It's called OrganiShield. And what it does is it melts the exoskeleton of the mite and or hive beetle and kills them.
Melt and or what did you say? And or hive beetle. What?
Yeah.
Oh.
It will not harm the bees because it's not strong enough to harm the exoskeleton of the bee, but it will kill the mites and hive beetles.
I wonder what this does to hive beetles. The Nora.
Probably nothing.
I don't know. It's been tested up there in Manitoba where Brad's at.
Well, right, because the mites, okay, the beetles don't feed on the bees or anything, they just cohabitate. What does Oliver say about this new one? What do we have thoughts from Randy on this, Nora?
I don't know.
I haven't seen anything posted by Randy.
Okay, I'm always interested on what he has to say.
Hey, okay. Hey, Charlie, I have a question about from anybody watching or listening. I made oxalic acid slow release, and the Swedish pads that I got were not the stacked ones, but they were on a roll, which I assumed they were the same product. They were just on a roll like a paper towel. So I cut those up and I soaked them. But when I started trying to pull them apart, they started trying to tear on me real bad. It was real hard to get them separated without them tearing. And I'm wondering if other people have that issue with the Swedish pads.
I don't know. I've only seen people buy stuff where they're individual pads, and then I think they take a pair of scissors and cut them.
Right, but I don't think that's any different from what I did. I took them tore them off like paper towels and then cut them up. It's to me. I think they swelled up really thick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'll try to buy the ones that are individual and see if it happens again.
Yeah,
It was a little bit better deal, and I could get the natural ones and not the ones that had dye in them.
Yeah, I'm not tried any of that stuff.
Me neither.
But it's a real pain when you get them out in the field and you're trying to peel them apart and they're just tearing on you.
Yeah, I had that happen with Formic, where you're opening it up and then the pad comes apart and then you get it's a mess. It's not user friendly. The term not user friendly.
You have to take your hive tool and just kind of carefully slide it between them, and you still end up tearing them quite a few of them.
Yeah. But now the way that stuff reads, it says low mite load, so it sounds like more of a maintenance product than it is a knockdown product. Or
yeah, but I think the theory, Charlie, is you get ahead of them because you're basically stopping reproduction. So you don't want to wait till your mite load gets big. Then it's I don't think it kills those mites that are getting it. So you want to get the first mites you have before they have to reproduce.
Yeah, I'm on. The camera's on. So you would be putting this on in April, May, or and knock the mites back, and then again in whatever.
For April, May for me would be honey season. So
yeah, you'd have to put them in February.
Oh, it said no honey supers. Right. Okay. All right. So anytime after July, we'll say July 4th, even though that's that's a marker that can move, but so the middle end of July, and then that can stay on all the way
for 5 months,
twice maybe.
Yeah, but if you wait till July, then your mite loads are probably pretty high.
Well, are we going to do it in January and then do it in January and then put your
18
yeah,
weeks. Uh, shoot,
right. I mean, I don't know how you would even get it on. Let's see,
You
18
wouldn't get
divided
it
by
on in,
yeah.
yeah, you wouldn't get it on in January because you're not going to open
four
your
and a half months. I could do middle of December. But yeah, but I won't have mites then anyway. Yeah, no, it's got to go on when you pull the
supers.
supers off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, how about
which
this?
would be mid-July for
Well, they say the treatment lasts 18 weeks. Does it take them 18 weeks to ingest it all? I mean, that's the time period you're worried about. How long it takes to ingest, not how long it's effective. Because I think they were just worried that they'll get stored in the honey, the liquid will. If it's during honey season.
Oh, Brad, look at Brad. Brad's excited about killing a knockback. No, it would kill the mites, right? It kills them. It won't knock them back,
Well,
right?
it'll kill them over a period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Huh.
doesn't kill
Mhm.
anything. The mite dies of old age, right? Just
Oh,
doesn't have
right.
offspring.
It's an interceptor. It's an interceptor, so it doesn't kill. Just doesn't allow her to reproduce.
But just because it's
Oh, wow.
effective for 18 weeks doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be on there for 18 weeks. Maybe it's on there for
It's hard to wrap. We're so used to this one language of, the products we have that when a new product comes out, it's kind of hard to readjust our thinking. But yeah, you're right, Philip. Yeah.
In my opinion, you'd put it on there, and whenever you got ready to put your honey supers on, if there was any left, you just pull it off of it, and you're probably okay.
Yeah, it suppresses the reproduction of mites, like Brad was saying there. So
Yeah, I
you
wasn't
have to wrap your head around a different
concept.
way of doing things and all. So I don't know. It sounds promising. I mean, I think it's like this. Yeah, all right. You have high mite, like, well, you put it on there, and over a period of time, you're going to get to the point where you're going to suppress to
Mhm.
where you're not going to have that mite pressure, I'll say, as much.
So I wonder how many years, like if you put it on, we'll just sake argument, we put it on after the supers are off, July. It runs the 4.5 months, 18 weeks. How long I mean, I guess I'm trying to think of, how many years would we have to use this?
And
Like,
how long is it going to last?
It's not going to wipe the mites out. Your bees are bringing in mites from all over the place.
Yeah, but if they don't reproduce and
yeah,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Though. As soon as you stop using it, the mites are going to start coming back.
but then also over a period of years, is the mite going to overcome it?
Probably going to develop resistance like everything else.
no, it won't, well,
Well, I don't know nothing about RNA or whatever it's called, RNI or.
yeah, I don't know either.
But what I'm saying is, Nancy, it sounds like a panacea, but with mites, but unless you and all the beekeepers around you are using it,
Right.
you're
Right.
still be
I
battling
wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it.
and you know that's never going to happen. So unless you want to go, well, even
Right.
if you bought it for them, they're not going to use it.
And now Honeybee Live's got an interesting take on this. It would only be affecting while the bee that injects the product, the bee will die in 30 to 40 days. That's true.
Right. So I
But
was thinking about that too.
but
So
on the
you'd
other
have to do it
hand,
on the
how
what's the
many
winter bee called? What's the winter
how
bee
long is
called?
how long is the female bee gonna last, or female varroa mite?
Well, I mean, the roll's going to feed on the drones and the nurse bees, only the young bees, the ones that, for the most part, haven't.
The winter bees. The
That's what,
diantinus. I can never say that word. The winter bees. That would
that's,
be the best bee to ingest this. Would be, after you take the supers off, another 4 weeks when then they start to make
Winter
they
bees.
start laying the winter bees.
and well, the roll is going to feed on foragers too, but only if it's desperate. It's not its ideal, right?
Yeah, I think they're on the drones and then move into the nurse bees. But Ed would be a good one to talk to this about, Charlie, because he knows all that about the mite and how the mite has been resistant for so long that we're trying to actually breed, I think he said, a better bee. Not the mite won't change. It's the bee that has to change or something he talks about.
Well, the thing of it is, you're talking about the drones and the mites. Now, you got to remember something. They're not raising drones in the wintertime. They're going to pack that drone frame up with honey.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah. Well, I was talking about with the drones during season,
know.
spring. Then they move into with the nurse bees. Well, right. So the winter, right, honeybee lives. So right. So we're talking this treatment for me in Pennsylvania, like would be the end of July.
Yeah, somewhere's our first.
I don't know where Philip
Somewhere's,
like what
I'll say
Philip would do.
for me, might be the middle of July at the earliest or latest.
Mine's about the same.
Hi, Dot House. Yeah, I don't know what like DC out there or Philip even, I don't know what your cycle is
We could,
really.
I could probably get my supers off the. Last year, it ran late, but most of the time it's around 1st of July that we can close over.
Well, for me, I mean, if this stuff isn't heat sensitive, then July and August is wonderful.
Yeah, it's yeah. It's heat
Mhm.
sensitive. It's heat sensitive. It's out. It's off the board for us down here.
And then like for formic, I usually hit formic is people have to remember formic is a brood mite killer.
See, I've never seen that here. I've never had the formic. I mean, they're shutting down. The queen shuts down when I put it on. So I've never seen it, or maybe I never noticed it. But I haven't seen it. And when I put the formic on, I'm usually okay with less brood because this
Now, hope
the flow's over. All I got it's less bees I need to feed.
now Hope says one article cites EPA saying it stores it as food. Mites come along, eat it. The only human consumption would be through the honey that will not have ill effects. Well, the thing of it is, mites don't eat honey. They eat the fat bodies, as far as I understand. And I wouldn't think that would be the way. And all that. So I don't know. I have to find out, wait till it all kind of comes out, and then kind of try it. It's all I know. So
Yeah, it comes to about $18 a treatment for a colony.
That's expensive.
Here's something that Randy. Varroa mites feed on the larvae and take up the DNS RNAs, activating the RNAi pathway within the mite. Okay. Yeah, you're right. They do feed on the, well, they're going to feed on the larvae or slash pupae while it's in the cap stage.
Oh, they get it through the bee, right?
Well, they feed on if the mite while the bee is being developed inside the cap cell, the varroa mite is already attached to that bee. So while that bee is being formed, I would say
the mite's attached to the bee that emerges.
I don't know. I don't know whether or not putting the rolled jelly in there might have this product in there and turn the bees.
I don't know. That's the first I've heard of that, because when the bee emerges, there's about 4 mites that come out with it, not just one.
Well, it depends on how many she lays. I think 3 or 4 mites.
So that's how many she lays. Isn't it 3? Well, like 3, her and 2 or 3 others. And they don't all
What's it called? How do you spell it? Norr. What's it called?
Norval. Norroa.
Yeah,
Nor-
like no Varroa is the came up with that name.
And then Brad says Randy Klingon Farms is correct. What I've got up here on the front is they feed on the larvae, take up the DNS RNA, activating the RNAi pathway within that mite. And
How does it get into the larvae?
I don't know.
Oh, the other bees are feeding the larvae. I bet that's it.
Yeah.
That's got to be it. They're feeding the larvae. Okay. That's what that's.
Anyway, we'll see how it works.
Yep.
And all that. So I'm going to bring that down. Is it raining where you're at, Philip?
It rained a little bit on me, but it's not raining at the moment. It's partly cloudy right now. It's just starting to get dark a little bit.
Brad says it's a 2-step, I'll say process. Adult eats the product, then it feeds the larvae. Oh, okay. And then the mite setup survive will be a resistant as ever. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe so. I don't know. Never can tell on all that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be throwing away our OAV, our vaporizers quite yet. You know.
Yeah, you guys ought to be selling yours for half price.
I don't know.
Huh.
I wonder if Ian was involved.
Well, it's promising that folks are working on it and coming up with new ideas and new innovation and new concepts. Like that's encouraging, right?
Yep.
Well, it's like it's just like when what was the stuff the science came up with to grow in tissues?
Stem cell.
Stem cells. There was so many, especially the churches, they were just up in arms about it and whatever. And they were using the what do you call it, fetus, or not the fetuses, but the
Yeah.
embryos, embryos, and they were all up in arms about that, and everything. And over a period of time, they found out how to do it even better without all that stuff. And they
Hmm.
do it today. And that was probably the most recent medical major breakthrough, I think, where it's growing the person's skin, in this, let's say if they're a burn patient and things like that. And
Hmm.
it's, huge and everything. I won't get involved in all that politics stuff. I could say more, but I'm not.
They were 3D printing that skin, aren't they?
Huh?
Aren't they 3D printing that skin? Those cells?
I don't know. I like I say, over a period of years, it's been 10 years or more. They've developed more ways of doing things better and faster and stuff like that. But at least they have the knowledge to be able to help people and everything.
Well, skin grafts to me are incredible. They don't just take the skin off your leg and use it. They take the skin and then they perforate it and they pull it apart like it's expanded metal. So it'll cover a larger area and then the cells grow back together.
Mm.
Spread it out like
Yeah.
bread dough.
Mm.
Yeah, you could take a little, 1 inch wide strip and make it 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
So
Now,
to me,
bearded,
it's pretty phenomenal.
yeah, wild beer honey's got an interesting question here. New beekeeper, always looking for ways to do better. Do you guys prefer treating the mites with whatever, or more natural way by doing brood breaks, or you do both? I don't do brood breaks, I mean, that's when you got 30 hives or more, or even 20 hives or more, I'm going to be, as far as natural, formic acid is a natural product.
Hmm.
Oxalic acid is a natural product, or I'll say organic, I think is what
Yeah.
their classification.
Yep.
Thymol, which is apricot, is a organic. Those are the three that I use. As far as apricot, I have not used it yet, but I will try to do it this year, as soon as my honey supers are off. As far as brood breaks, no, I don't pull the queen out or do anything like that. I'm making honey and all the other stuff. So that's what we do. That's what
Yeah,
most.
we're taught up here in the Northeast, we're taught pick three different treatments, whatever those three are that you would prefer to do, and rotate those three. One of them could be brood breaks or drone. I don't, taking the drones out, but we kind of learned we need to keep our drones. But yeah, I mean, you wanna pick three treatments and kind of rotate it out. And I don't know where you're located. I don't know what part of the country you're in. So that plays a role too.
I only use OAV. Now I will look for opportunities to use OAV when there's a brood.
Yeah, he's in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our buddy Mike.
Yeah.
Mike's out there.
Yeah, you got to be careful if you're in the South, like I am,
Yep.
because if you try to apply something like Apovar when the temperature is right, you've got to remember that you're also causing a brood break when your queen needs to be laying her winter bees. So kill
Mhm.
the moths that arrive in winter because you don't have enough winter bees to make it. So it's not just temperature related, it's temperature and timing related. So I don't use Apovar or Apogard or Formic. for that reason. I would use it if there was the opportunity, but it's really not.
Right. So you have to follow your region's practices. You know, my region up here north of Philadelphia is going to be different than Oklahoma. So you just take little bits and pieces and try to form your own kind of thing that you need to do.
Your own treatment program.
Yeah. So
Well,
you
I
use this
mean,
18.
hmm?
Oh, go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking about the brood break thing where they talking about Apricot, a brood break or formic. I don't, I put formic in September, and I mean I'm close to my, it's the winter bees are forming. They formed back in July and August, and I mean there's a progression there of winter bees being formed. I don't really see that big of a brood break when it comes to formic. I really don't.
Mm-mm. I don't either. I don't have
Nope.
it.
I don't see where the hive is completely broodless or anything like that.
Nope. And if you use it at the right time of the year, it's not going to hurt the queen at all.
Right. Well, that's why I use it in September.
Yep.
Because usually I want an 80-degree or less temperature. I want low humidity. In the last several years, Labor Day weekend seemed to be that window, especially for about 4 or 5 days. What's that,
Yeah,
Bill?
I can't use it until the middle of October, though. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah, that's why you don't
bees,
use
my
that.
bees aren't making
Yeah.
winter bees until
So when
October,
you,
November.
with your weather out in Texas, do you actually get any snow or really cold weather or anything out there?
If we do, it's like all hell breaks loose, and we generally get like less than a week of like super cold, lots of ice,
Mm.
more ice than snow usually. But it's always short lived. We
Yeah.
had one time since I've been uh, alive or in Texas and Louisiana, been kind of the same latitude the whole time. But one time, we had snowmageddon. It was like 5 days of sub freezing
Yeah,
temperature.
you guys are going. Yeah,
That
that was
was
when everything froze up out there.
that was like 100-year storm. It's never been even close to that. We usually will get 2 to 3 days every 3 years of freezing temperatures in a row, and we'll get freezing temperatures probably 5-6 times a year, but they're spread out.
You're talking about a 32-degree night.
Yeah, it's. I would say that below 32, there's probably just barely below 32. There's probably 20 or 30 days of that, but I mean that's just dipping down and touching it and then coming back up. You go out in the morning and there's a 1/8 inch of ice on the pond or whatever. That's nothing.
Well,
People like to talk about freezing as though that's like a huge thing, but that's really just a degree of temperature. That's not. There's a big difference between 31 and 16 as far as how it affects things.
yeah. Well, Brad says up there in Manitoba, he has his cold weather short lived too. It only lasts no more than about 3 months.
Sometimes 5 or 6, probably. For what we consider cold, it's be longer than that.
I don't know all that, but I don't know. Like I say, have not seen any brood problems when I use formic, and I've been using Var, which there was no stoppage there, except for the only problem I had at Var strips is they dug the darn comb out around it, and now you have this permanent strip where that stupid strip was. And I tried to alleviate that over different ways over the years, but it didn't. So now I'm not even doing that. Hey, Mark Miller. And Now, Mark did some brood breaks with OA, and it was very effective, he said. And I'm going to do this April guard. They say that affects the brood production, but I've also heard that April guard is if your hives are kind of used to it or has had it, they get, I'll say, sort of used to it, and you don't have as much issues with using it. What the way I understood it. We'll see.
So, so I was watching Fred Dunn's video on artificial insemination. It was just a couple days ago, and the guy mentioned at the beginning of it, he said that there's some evidence that Amatraz causes the drones to be less fertile. Use of Amatraz.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yep, that's.
I've
I've heard that too.
I think that's a proven fact.
Yep.
Okay, and I never heard that. So there's a whole bunch of studies on it. That and all the chemical-based stuff. They said some people said it did. Some of the companies paid for their own studies that said it didn't. But it just made me wonder. You know, we were talking about how queens don't last like they used to. Well, the drones don't have as much semen, then it would make sense that the queens aren't going to last. But Amatraz is what everybody's been using for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
Well-
but you know what the USDA did the other day, don't you, Phil? The USDA put in writing, finally, and published it, that Amatraz is no longer considered effective on the varroa mite.
They
If you-
also
Phil,
put in
hey,
Hive.
Phil, if you want to know more about that, the varroa, or not the varroa, the mite, a potency of mites and stuff, or not mites, get my darn bugs right. Drones. Watch YouTube channel Bees in the Weeds. It's a 6-part series with Kent Williams
Yep.
out there in Kentucky. The first 2 or 3 parts are the most informative. The rest of them are okay. And he talks about scientists coming into his apiary, and I can't remember what the college they were from. Was it Purdue? I think it's Purdue College.
Was
And they talked about, he said that they were experimenting with their drones in Purdue College. I'm not sure whether that's the correct college or not, but their drones only had a 42% efficiency. Rest of them were shooting blanks.
wow.
And they came to Kent's place and said, "Can we come to your place?" He said, "Yeah." He said, and they knew that he had bees that went to California and bees that, he said, "Yes, I have the colonies that went to California in one yard, local bees that he kept there are in another yard." So they picked 1,000 drones out of each yard. And he said that they were all chuckling amongst themselves and all this different stuff. And he found that his drones were 50, the ones that I think came from California off the almonds, I believe its percentage of potency was 54%. And the local bees were like 50 or 52% potency. The rest of them are shooting blanks. And he wasn't too happy about that. So you might say 50% of the drones are worthless,
Right.
For insemination. And he said, and then he told him about how the Duke bees up there were worse than his. And they said the ones from California, because of the type of pollen out there, was better for the bees. And that's why those drones were better, higher percentage. And that is quite interesting. He talked about queen going out and getting mated, and she mates with all these drones with all this different types of sperm. And if she mates with a drone that has Africanized sperm, that Africanized sperm, in his terminology, says will try to get in the head of the line of the sperm bank.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
I've heard that.
the sperm is somehow competitive
Yep.
to get the head of the line.
They're stronger swimmers.
That's crazy.
Huh?
They're stronger swimmers.
Okay, stronger
That's
swimmers.
amazing.
But then he
I
said
figured that out.
that the queen will excrete 80% of the sperm that she has collected and only holds 20% of it. And I don't know what the reasoning behind that was or how she does and all that stuff. So he said, like, when you call the queens were poorly mated or whatever, well, she didn't get enough. She didn't get this huge load, and then they're going to get rid of 80% of it. And she's only got 20. It might be less than 20 because a smaller amount of the 20%.
Wasn't that in that study? I think that was the same study where they were saying that the more drones she mated with was a better they were better at resisting mites.
Yes.
The higher number of drones resulted in a better mite resistant colony too. I think that was that study, or maybe it was
because
a
she has
different
more
one,
of a chance to get a higher percentage of VSH type sperm.
yeah, right.
Now,
Right.
Brian from Castle Hive has the answer for us about these drones. California
Oh,
drones
Brian, really?
is why
California giant what? Can't see that.
they identify as workers. You know, all them folks that come up from down south there, they work harder than us folks on the East Coast.
So Bill, you said that they came out. The USDA said that it's not effective. Was that the same report where they said that Amitraz resistance was the cause of the bee die-off? Because they said that as well.
That was part of the cause. The other part of the cause was Nosema cerana.
Okay, but they were saying that the major part of it was Amitraz, right? And which is what most people were saying when I first announced it. That's what it was going to come down to.
It wasn't the Amitraz. It was the mite load and the viral load. I read the paper, and Todd read the same paper.
Amitraz resistance, though.
Amitraz resistance caused a high mite load, which caused a high viral load in the bees, and the stress, the poor management, and the poor diet on the almonds caused Nosema cerana to activate, and that's the other part of it that killed them.
But it traced back to
Amitraz.
the viruses that carried by the mite. So
yes,
regardless of what finished them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They found Nosema cerana in 71% of the hives and 5 different viruses in 73% of the hives.
Well, I don't know that it was. They probably got. I think what I heard was they got better once they got to California. They showed up really sick or dead, and they got better because that is really good pollen for the bees.
Mm-hmm.
The almond pollen is excellent
The almond pollen, yeah.
pollen for the bee.
So you're talking about the bees that were dead out there in the Midwest is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they didn't discover this because a lot of these commercial guys, they don't even open the boxes. They just send them to California and they get graded and opened out there. They don't even know if they're dead or alive. They send them from super cold temperatures.
I find that hard to believe because, you know, it costs money to ship bees. And I know some guys like Benny down there, that guy that was down there in South Florida or whatever it was, next to the Swanee. you know, they're checking highs to make sure they make grade so they can make the best money, you know, and all that stuff. So
According to
I
Blake
think,
Shook, they were checking bees on site, and over half of them were not making grade because they showed up sick.
I think they showed up sick by the time they got there. Hey, Rick, that's happening. I don't know. We were talking about the dead outs out there in the Midwest and stuff, Rick. I don't know. I mean, when it comes to Shook out there, I don't know what, you know, he's in the bee supply business as far as I'm concerned. I think he does have bees though. He puts out there and all, but anyway, they all died out there. What can you say about that? Hey,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Well, Shook makes money off of every step of the process.
Well,
He has of his own colonies, and he manages about $50,000.
you're breaking up, Bill.
Yeah, I'm off the beaten path, so probably gonna have to get off of here.
All right. Looks like it's
All
getting
right.
dark.
Well, I'm gonna hang up. Yeah, I'm gonna hang up and listen to you guys. Okay.
All right. We'll catch you
Hi,
later.
Joey.
Good night.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Joey.
Mm.
Um, so
Wow.
Jeremy gets 150 pounds off of cotton.
Irrigated cotton.
Well, you got to remember he's out in Texas.
Yeah. I was following that conversation a little bit about irrigation, non-irrigation, and all that. It's interesting. We don't have any of that here. We're even cotton. So
Hey, Rick, why don't you come on in here? We've been wanting you to come in here for months. Rick Sutton. Everyone's got snacks but me. Hey there, Brian. Yeah, Jeremy's on cotton out there in Texas. And also he explained that you have the old cotton, which will produce nectar. And then they got the modified cotton, as I call it, or GMO. I'm not sure if it's a GMO designation or not, but where it doesn't put its energy into a bloom, it puts it in more so the cotton ball. And that doesn't really produce much honey at all,
There's fewer seeds in it.
I guess. Hey, Brian, how's things out in Wisconsin? Is it wet? Have you tried to get any honey off, Bill? Or
Yeah, we've taken a little bit of honey off there at the store, and we got, I don't know, 6 or 7 supers. So did pretty good.
good night, Jeremy.
I got a couple buckets off of it.
Well, wild beer, he doesn't have any extraction tools. Well, now what you do is you hook up with Bill here. He's got a major sale going, I think, still.
Yep, still going until the 15th of July.
He's got honey extractors on sale. He can ship you one tomorrow morning.
Yep.
You know, if you're going to be in the honey business, you got to spend money and get yourself a extractor and a hot knife or a hot plane, uncap and tank, and a screen for your bucket or whatever.
Yep.
Go to ShenandoahBeeSupply.com. That's the best way I can tell you to do it. You can do a crush and strain, but you're just wasting.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time and all that good energy that the bees made all that wax.
Yep.
Spend the
That'll
money.
cost you in the long run.
Cost you in the long run. So go talk to Bill there. He's got what do they call them? Sibin extractors.
Yep. Be glad to talk to you. That popcorn was pretty good. That's a good supper.
So I was looking up, I was talking about bees moving eggs
Yep.
the other night. And I did look it up a little bit today, and they're saying that they don't move eggs. So I don't know. I think I need some more.
Kevin Williams said he's seen where there was eggs and there wasn't
Yeah.
eggs there. And he said, and books might say not, but he said, I've seen it in person. So I guess.
Well, right. You get where they're saying no, and then you get someone like Kent Williams, who we all respect. It says, yeah, it happens. So, and then I was gonna write to Fred early today, see if he would get it in for this, and I didn't get to it. So, I was gonna ask Fred about what he has seen or research he has read, and I didn't get to it, so maybe I will this week, and he might hit on it Friday.
Wildbeard, I just put the link to.
Oh,
Bill.
Cannibalization collector. That's called Cannibalize.
Yeah.
And yes, they do cannibalize in times of dearth, or when they want to shut her down, or when they're, they do cannibalize. That's a common, but we were talking about picking them up and moving them into queen cells, basically.
Yes, they will. I'm reading it right here on Reddit. They will move an egg to create a queen cell. In other words, if they've got a cup that's not populated, they will move it to the cup to create a queen cell.
So you're reading that somewhere?
Yep, on Reddit.
You know how to share that, Bill?
And on the apiarist as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get his newsletters.
Yep.
So this is why I brought it up. I have 2 deeps. The second deep was basically all drawn honey, capped, uncapped. The first, and there was in the middle of a frame was a queen cell with an egg in it.
Yep.
So I thought, did they run her up to lay in that cup?
Not necessarily.
Or did they move that egg? That's
Not
what got
necessarily.
me thinking about all of this. And I've heard people talk about it, but I never really saw it or really, thought about it. I've listened on the sideline, but didn't have any applicable, couldn't apply that anywhere.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, that's what really got me to thinking that I just can't imagine they ran her up there for that. I just didn't seem right. So it sounds like they did move that egg. I don't know why they don't like the queen. She's new. It's their queen. So I don't know why they're doing that in the first place, but that's another conversation.
Sorry, excuse me.
Mm. Oh my. Well,
Yeah, and it says when under queen rearing, when a colony needs a new queen, workers will often move eggs or young larvae into specially constructed queen cells. This is a deliberate process to raise a new queen. And that can be found in the apiarist and on Reddit.
So now the answer today is yes.
Yep. That's why I keep another screen open all the time.
I want to hear someone talk. I know. I agree. I believe you, Bill. I think the apiarist is good information. I subscribe to him. So yes, I would love to hear someone talk about it. At a conference or show. That'd be really cool if they had video.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be neat.
Yep. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. Very long day.
What's Rick saying there?
I personally forgot about taking a queen out in the cage. It got to be a queen.
The queen must have laid an
Came
egg.
back a week later. The queen must have laid an egg. The queen.
Must have laid an egg. Yeah, I don't know.
Chris, I have no idea why they would move the egg, but I'm just telling you what I'm reading here.
Well, they can't get the queen. They can't get the queen to
put an egg
the
in
cup for whatever reason.
Yep.
Is what I'm thinking. Is they can't. It's easier for them to just take an egg to the cup than it is to run her to wherever the cup is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joey.
I think Rice has hiccup. The Rice has hiccups.
He's using his cell phone and talking to it.
That's funny.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me whether they move them or not.
No, I know. Like I said, I've heard people talk about it before, but I never really, I was like, yeah, whatever. It's just can they or can't they? Will they or won't they?
I know they'll eat them during the dearth.
Oh yeah, for sure. You see a whole frame of eggs, and then 2 or 3 days later, you go to look at something else, and you're like, hey,
and gone.
Here, they're gone. Yeah, very nutritious. Oh, and the first ones they eat are the drones anyway. Drone eggs, because they can, they cost a lot. I think drones cost a hive as much as making a queen. For all but. The energy it goes into making a drone is the same energy it goes into making a queen. Is how to word that a little better. So they'll get rid of those drones quick if things are going south as far as nutrition and resources.
Yep. So, hey, Dinah. How can you have weeds in an apiary when it's all full of cement? It used to be a cow barn, loafing shed.
Gotta love them loafing sheds. They are great for apiaries.
I'll talk to you later, Rick.
Night, Rick.
Sorry.
So anyway.
So what are your plans this weekend, Charlie?
Well, I kind of have to see how the weather is. It's supposed to rain. I don't know. There's percentages all weekend, all the way till the middle of next week.
Yeah.
So I need to get out in the hives. I need to check on a nuke. I got a nuke. The same guy wants to pick up another nuke. I got 2 queens that I need to get out, put some mated or attendants in for they can get picked up tomorrow, hopefully. And then I don't know. There's some of the hives out through there. I had put a queen in, and it wasn't early enough for them to check, see whether or not they've been mated. And so I need to get out there and check that. They should be mated by now, hopefully. And I don't know, maybe get into the one hive that's got a yellow queen in there and put her in a cage or something. And I don't know whether to bank her or put her in a 2-frame mating box and let them go queenless for about 6-7 days. And then go in there and rip out all the cells and whatever. And I got a mated queen in one of them boxes out there and put her in there.
There you go. That'll work.
And check all the rest of them. I'm trying to get everybody up to speed as far as a 2025 queen.
Yeah.
And get that done. And I need to get my honey off.
Yeah, I gotta get mine off too here at the house.
So that's my biggest thing is I would like to. I'm getting to the point in the bee season for me. I'm getting tired. I haven't grafted ain't much. I'm not sure whether I'm going to continue on, whether I was even going to make another graft.
I'm gonna do one more.
I thought about maybe one more and let it go at that. It's been pretty nice here not having to graft for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I got a bunch of queens sitting there and all that. And I don't know. Just I don't know, just everything. It's just been push for several weeks. I got like a guy came in today. He wants some shiplap, and well, when can you have me? So many pieces, not that much. I just switched the machine over to Tonga Group for another job. Now let's switch it back again. And my brother, he wasn't feeling good today. He took some blood pressure medicine, dropped his blood pressure way low. So he went home. People are looking for certain orders, and it's been super hot. And like people, we work out in the darn heat, even though we're out of direct sunlight. We do have a fan, but it's still hot and miserable.
Yep.
And I just, it's like, people got to learn to say, you know what, we're all getting older and we're not going to be pushing ourselves like we once did.
Right. You
Can't
can't.
blame you there, man.
I'm just going to say, look, we're quitting at 3:00 today, because it's too hot. Federal law says so.
Do you have off tomorrow or Sunday? Do you finally have a rest day on Sunday?
Not this past weekend. I worked straight through.
Wow.
I round baled hay Sunday, Monday. I did 1,000 square bales, testing the new machine out, or testing / understanding how to run the new machine.
Right. Learning it.
And that was an exciting day. And all that. Yeah, well, Brian, you can do that when you're retired.
Yeah.
And but I think that siesta's only an hour long or something like that. It's not like several hours. I'm not sure about that. And so I don't know. I had a couple of maple orders today, and we got them out. And like I say, a beekeeper stopped by. Another beekeeper stopped by. I had some miticides that they didn't pick up at our club meeting thing, several stragglers. So one of them picked up that, and another guy stopped by that I'm becoming friends with. And Yeah, I know what you mean, Brian. You might be retired from the school teaching business, but you're not. You started a whole new business as beekeeping slash, going out to the fairs and events. And
Yeah.
You work more hours when you work for yourself. You work
Yep.
way more.
yeah,
Tell
I
me
know all
about it.
about that. Like Tuesday, I mean, Sunday, I got off. I don't know. We were done in an hour and a half or something like that. And then Monday, I worked till 8 o'clock at night. Tuesday was 9. I was 9:30 by the time I walked into the house, quarter to 10. And so the machine worked out really well. 1,030 bales in the barn, didn't touch a thing. And that was wonderful. And my son, he went down. He had him and his wife bought a cow and a calf down in
Mm-hmm.
such and such, Georgia. I looked it up. Well, he said, well, you got to go down here to Claxton, Georgia. I know exactly where that's at. He said, we went by this place that had 2 big beehives. I said, yeah, that was, what the heck's the guys, that company down there? Oh, shoot. I can't think of it now.
Roberts.
No, Wilhelm
Oh yeah.
in Claxton, Georgia. So, anyway, he went down there, got the cat. They left 8 o'clock one night, got down there the next day, called him up about a straw sale, and he said, I'm in Georgia. I said, okay. Then he got back. They left at 11 o'clock. They got back up. They were going up to Washington. Then they hit this horrendous storm in Washington, D.C. And people were flying by him. He's not used to all that. And he couldn't see. He said that's how bad it was raining. And he didn't want to, he had cow and calf on board and didn't want to hit the brakes too hard. So he got home and everything. So he got back. I seen him today. And so he's the 25 acres behind me. He's thinking about, he's hooked up with the other big guy that they work together on hay and straw sales and stuff. And he's got one of them great big, I guess, 3x3 balers or something like that.
Yeah.
And my son does sell some of them big old bales like that. So he said, I think I'm just going to get him to come up here, and because he got the new tractor all hooked up to this other thing. And instead of unhooking everything and all that, get him to come up and they'll work the field to where they cut it and rake it and bale it with those big square balers, because he needs square bales, and the other guy's got the storage facility. So that's where I think that's going. I'm not sure. We were considering just round baling it all. Storage is our problem now. He wants to keep enough storage for second cutting square bales, where this new machine will shine.
Yeah.
And all that. So in the meantime, I got done running it, and the bale bearing came with the budget model, just a box with 2 lights, and it goes beep, beep, beep. It tells you when it's going to tie and all this kind of stuff,
Yep.
And it's got a propionic sprayer on the baler. It came with a iPad that you have up on a thing on the sidewall of your cab.
Yep.
And it's all automatic and computerized. And so I told him, I said, the other guy had the ISOBUS monitor inside where it shows a picture of your machine and it shows you where the balers are at on the inside of the machine and what's happening electronically inside the machine. So I called the guy out. I said, they got to bring a couple parts down that are, one wasn't working properly. And one was a spring that somebody had robbed the spring off of this machine, and they're going to put the right strength spring on it. And they had told us all that stuff. And so I said, you just bring that monitor down. I'll pay for it and put it in that cab so I can see exactly when I can see something, I understand something. The beeps, I can remember. Yeah, I know it's getting ready to tie, and you got to wait for 3 bales to go in it, and then it'll tie. But I want to. It shows you where it's at in every stage
Yeah.
and stuff. Especially like when I was out there and 2 bales got jammed or broke or something, and we had to dig it out of that machine. And then it's like, well, did the machine count the bales, or do you have to tell the machine don't count the last 2 bales? So it knows to put the right amount of bales in the stack and all that. It was so much information coming at you at one time. It was information overload, big time. So, well, guys, it's 10 o'clock and
Yep.
we're
I'm
all-
going. I gotta go too. So
Good night,
yeah,
Nancy.
I think not a whole lot to talk about tonight and everybody. So we'll see everybody next week. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully everybody's had a great week this coming up. And if you're harvesting honey or making queens or whatever, and we will all see you later on. Brian, he's going to spin honey, make a batch of espresso tonight. It sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll see y'all later.
Yep.
And next week and all that good stuff. Catch you all
I'll see you Monday night, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock on Bill's channel. Shannon or
Bees all day.
Bees all day. All right.